Hi guys, welcome to vlog number 3, and in today's vlog I'll be talking about the rhetorical situation wherein we'll be focusing on the purpose, audience, genre, and stance of a select English reading, which as you can see over there in the screen is an overly intellectual analysis of Katy Perry's Chained to the Rhythm music video by Brandon K. Thorpe and Penn Bullock. Now, this is a reading that I had to do for my English 11 class. And so, in this blog, I'll be focusing on what the content of that essay is. Now, before anything else, we'd be focusing on these four as a rubric to understand the article. As an overview, the text talks about Katy Perry's music video, Chained to the Rhythm. It was published in 2017. And if you haven't watched it yet, I do highly recommend it. It has a lot of figures of speech, and as a music video, it utilizes numerous film devices to make you think and contemplate on its social critique of the political climate that we live in. Okay, now in terms of the rhetorical situation, however, we'll be focusing first and foremost on purpose. Now, this article, as you can see, was written by two men, Brandon Thorpe and Penn Bullock. Now, the interesting thing to note is in the article itself, it states that Brandon and Penn are partners. So they are gay men, and they are as a couple. However, they also wrote that they wrote in different voices. So in this blog post, we read Brandon first and foremost, arguing his interpretation of Katy Perry's music video, and then afterwards we read Penn's work. And so after Penn, then Brandon, and then Penn, and then Brandon, and then Penn, and then Brandon. So in this sort of like a sandwich. Now the question is, what is the purpose of this? If you look at it, it sort of compels the reader to make their own judgment of who to agree. Each of the writers, argue their claim about the music video. Either it's Brandon arguing that the music video fails to give proper social commentary, or whether it's on how Penn sees it as an effective and comprehensively done piece to make viewers think about the political divide that we live in, especially that ubiquitous oblivia that Perry mentions, where people are oblivious. So again, purpose of it, it's to make the reader think critically. Who should I agree with? All right, and when it comes to the audience, who is it that they're writing this piece for? It's for someone who, again, they're talking about music videos. So that implies that that person has watched Katy Perry's music video, is aware of popular culture, and as you can see in this article, they do reference a lot of Katy Perry's previous music videos. They also reference a lot of Lady Gaga's work, Bob Dylan, and so it is fair to say that the intended audience of this piece is someone who is well versed, in popular music. And again, it's not very clear to what specific audience they're writing to. but it's someone again who we can interpret as an active blog reader. So that would be someone who likes technology, who understands what Katy Perry is talking about, as in this sort of utopic, futuristic world where everyone's taking selfies, where everyone is too focused about living for themselves, and then being in living a rat race infused with technology. So that person that they're writing to is someone who understands that. Okay. So now we talk about like genre. Now, the this genre again, it's more of an argumentative paper because again we see Brandon and we see Penn and we see Brandon and Penn. They offer their arguments about why is this music video a quality one or not. We also see that it's written in a blog post sort of in a style because there's a lot of informal dialogue along the article. That is not to say that it's not informative. It is very much so. If you read it, it is it is noticeable that both men are educated. They use proper grammar, proper punctuation. Their words and how they structure their arguments is very methodical and is thoughtful. So I do imagine that by having this sort of like unique genre of like an argumentative back and forth sort of paper, it amplifies again that purpose to that audience to make the make people think and not just be chained to the rhythm, or to be like stumbling zombies, or as Katy Perry's trapped in white fences with lack of original thought, and people who just don't think critically, right? All right, and so the last part in this article, in the stance. So, who is the writer and what is their stance? Again, it's interesting because if you look at it, they have, we have Ben and we have Brandon having this sort of like conversation, and both men have very different stances with regards to the article. So, with regards to the music video. So I think that makes the article stand out because we see different interpretations of the same piece. We're talking about in English 11, how there are different criterias for a music video to see how effective it is, from its lyrics to the costume design to the symbolism to the social commentary to the camera work. What's interesting about this piece is that both men use lyrics as a sort of way to ground their stance on. Again, with Brandon telling the reader that his claim is Katy Perry is just using cliches, and that these words, there's nothing original with it, and it talks about like this Facebook activism wherein singers and popular icons just name bad things which are happening but aren't really offering solutions, or aren't making people feel how bad it is, but they just name it as if that would solve it, right? So that's like the sort of critical tone that Brendan is making. That's his stance, that this is the reason why it's not effective. And then you contrast that to Penn, who writes, Katy Perry has made this music video which is way different from all the rest of her music videos. So this is kind of using that criteria of a schema of the background of the artist, and he does he makes comparisons on how Katy Perry's video differs very much so to Lady Gaga's, or the different pop artists who aren't as active, right? And so we see this comparative glance that he uses, and he makes the stance that when you think about the lyrics and when you think about um, how Katy Perry's visual aesthetic just disgruntles people. You know how it shakes them up. How in the last part of like Penn's work, how he speaks of how Perry's video and the music of it. If you listen to it at a bar, it will change the atmosphere because the person who's getting a beer, when he hears that, okay, the lyrics are just constructs this dissonance. The beat is up, it's upbeat. It makes you like really tap your foot. I was tapping my foot, to be honest. But then if you listen to the lyrics, it makes you think, and when it makes you think, it kind of it unsettles you. It makes you feel an uncomfortable feeling, which is why Penn makes this stance. That is the purpose of of Perry's work, and that itself makes it an effective music video because it makes people think. So yeah, that is just a snapshot overview of what an overly intellectual analysis of Katy Perry's Chained to the Rhythm is. Now, I just would want to finish off with the title, right? It's not written as a rhetorical situation, but it's again very important just to see what the purpose of the writers are. Uh, it's kind of funny because it talks about how uh, ironic the entire article is, because like it's an overly intellectual analysis. So these people who are very intellectual, they just overanalyzed it. But maybe that's the same thing that we go back to the purpose of it, to the to make people think, the audience, people who are living in this day and age, who read genres like blogs, and whose stance are vary to their stance might be in a very higher order thinking way, is to make people think about what's happening. Not necessarily just about the music video, but to be very critical about what's happening today in their lives, be it politics, be it music, be it popular culture, but to go back and to have this critical thinking aspect of their lives. And whether it's overly intellectualized, you would be the judge. But I do recommend you watching both the video and reading the article. And that would cap off this vlog number 3. So thank you guys, and I hope you gained a lot from this piece. Thank you.